I find that it may be best to just throw away this idea that God is always testing us. This can get us caught in this story that doesn't always serve us, getting us to focus on the wrong things. Think about this paradigm that I myself have fallen into in the past. I am someone trying to be good. I'm trying to do better. I try really hard, and for a period of time it seems like I am being successful. I'm doing the right things. But then a test comes from the universe or God, perhaps to see if I've really changed. However, it seems that I keep failing the test over and over again. I keep falling into the same bad habits, the same bad patterns that are causing suffering and making life difficult. I don't know why, I just can't move forward. Why can't I figure this out? The issue with this paradigm of reality is that we are living in a story that is not all that accurate. But you might convince yourself with facts and data and say, no, this is why my belief is true. But here's why that doesn't really matter. First of all, I should mention that God, by definition, already understands what actions you are going to take. You can't really surprise God by failing the test. God already knows whether or not you will fail. So if that's the case, why would God be testing you? We are not so much tested by God, but rather we are being molded into the greatest version of ourselves. It's never really about passing or failing the test. It's about growth. If you fail or make a mistake, you grow. And if you succeed, that is a reflection of your growth. We think that if we fail God's test, that means we did something bad or wrong, and so we are punished. And if we pass God's test, that means we have done something right and good, and we will be rewarded. It's hard to see how this might not be accurate. But the fact is that the darkness and the light are both equally important to the wholeness of everything. As humans, we tend to say, well, the dark is bad and the light is good. And that is because with the dark comes pain, and with the light comes pleasure. But, as you may know, pain and suffering are the greatest motivating factors, and they allow for our highest growth. So God uses suffering not to punish us for failure, but because sometimes that is what we need to grow. Sometimes you need a fire under your butt to change. Otherwise, if everything was always peachy, people would probably just sit around and do nothing all day. I found that a more wise paradigm of looking at reality is to see more broadly from the perspective of the whole journey. What it means is that it doesn't matter if you fail or succeed. What matters is who you are becoming. Your problems, your mistakes, the things you want to run away from. These are the exact things that God is using to shape you into the greatest version of yourself. They create suffering, yes, and suffering is painful, and therefore you do not like it. But the pain is like chiseling off pieces from a marble block that is your character. Pieces of you are falling away, but the work of art is being revealed. Whenever I make a mistake, which I don't actually even believe in, but we'll keep it for practicality's sake, I never focus on the failure, only on the lesson. When we allow guilt, shame, fear to enter into our minds, we are not focused on growth. We are focused on destroying ourselves. That is the difference between someone who is truly successful and someone who fails. They both make the same mistakes, have the same problems, but one focuses on positive growth and the other focuses on negativity. I focus only on one thing. How is this problem or situation shaping me into the greatest version of myself? What is the lesson to be learned? When we face the same problem over and over again, this can be overwhelming and exhausting. But the reason that we are suffering so greatly is because our mind is focused on achieving a certain kind of outcome. So when the mind doesn't get what it wants, it suffers and resists the flow of life. I really want to quit this addiction. I hate this, I don't want this anymore. Well, yes, this may be true. But being in this state of resistance is not serving you. is it? The suffering created by your problems or your addictions already come with the desire to get rid of them. You don't need to remind yourself of how much you wish things would be different. When you are caught in this kind of suffering, you get blinded by your emotions, so you are unable to learn any lessons, and it becomes difficult to grow from the situation. When we fall into a difficult situation, it is of absolute importance that we take a moment to catch our breath, find a bit of inner stillness. It's very crucial that we learn to manage our reactivity. If we can return to a state of awareness, we can remain neutral. And only when we are neutral do we see clearly. And only when we see clearly can we learn quickly. That is why I stress the realization that these problems are serving you. As it has been said, life is not happening to you, life is happening for you. When you flip negativity into positivity, you neutralize it. Your problem becomes a tool for growth rather than a punishment. But your animal body will more than likely pull you back into reaction and resistance to what is, because the body does not want to feel pain. Just return to awareness. Remain calm through deep breathing and exercise, relaxation. Have tools ready that will help you recover quickly. The more we ruminate about the problem in our minds, the longer it takes to get through the situation. The quickest way to pass God's test is to remain clear and neutral, so that we are open to receive the information that life is trying to present to us. If we allow our suffering to distract us, it can take much longer to break through. When we realize that we are not being punished, we're not being tested, but we are being forged, we operate from a higher mindset that allows for our highest character development. No longer does negativity hurt us or really bring us down. In fact, we learn to use negativity as one of the greatest sources of power in our life. What you find is that the problems and so-called negative situations are some that you become most grateful for, because you begin to realize the wisdom that is learned through these difficult situations. These troubling problems can very much be like a trial by fire, where what we've learned is being put to the test. In this sense, we are like warriors testing our skills out on the battlefield. However you choose to look at it, use your power to turn negativity into positivity. Use everything that happens for your highest spiritual growth. You will become indestructible and be able to overcome any obstacle.